Hello, everyone, and welcome back to The Rundown, where we talk about 2A news and conservative views. I will be your host today, Craig DeLuz, coming at you from the West Coast, the left coast, behind the Iron Curtain, otherwise known as the Sierras. But as we all know, I do not do this program by myself.
That's right. My name is Mike Piwowarski, coming to you live from the East Coast. That's the coast with the most, from the co-host with the most here on The Rundown. 2A views, conservative news, and Craig, guess what day it is?
Mike. What day is it, Mike?
It's hump day.
Hump day!
It's hump day.
Hump day!
That's right, folks. It's Hump Day. This is the day in which we attempt to begin the weekend, sometimes with success, sometimes not. But as we always like to say, the fun is all in the trying.
Yeah, considering wherever you are, wherever you might be, today might be your Friday. It might be your Friday before the Friday, before the Friday, before the Saturday, before the Sunday. It might be your first to third Fridays.
Well, you know what? That's exactly what I was thinking. Because, I've got to think a lot of people are going to be taking Friday off. I mean, it's hard for me to imagine that folks are going to go out of their way to get all patriotic and stuff on Thursday, only to wind up going to work on Friday.
Yeah, not happening. Not happening, right?
No, last year's kind of awkward because it was like middle of the week. But no, this is Thursday doesn't count as middle of the week.
No, unless it's Thanksgiving, then you get the whole week. Yeah.
Exactly. There you go. Exactly. So, don't know. I don't know if we've decided if we're going to do a Friday show. Have we made that decision yet?
We have not made that decision, but typically we don't make a lot of decisions until way after we should have made them. So, yeah.
Well, see, that's what happens, when you don't have the big money show where you've got the executive producer who's like, we got to have a show or, hey, you guys take the weekend off. But, we're just kind of like, to a certain degree, after 740 episodes, you'd think we'd stop flying by the seat of our pants.
I thought that was what you were doing. I was trusting you this whole time.
I honestly, half the time I'm like, okay, do I want to do it? Do I not want to do it? Let me see what Mike says.
That's literally like I'm finding out after 740 shows that we're on the path to success. And I say to you where we're going, and you go, I don't know, I'm following you. What? What?
We're taking the scenic path to success.
Yeah. Wow. All right.
Well, hey, look, we're on a bit of a timeline. As you notice, we actually had to pre-record and run the show a little bit later. So we're going to go ahead and get into the program, and we're going to start off real quick as we normally do, and that's going to be with a quick shout-out to our sponsors.
Yep, Hitman Industries, hitmanindustries.net. You got yourself an AR, you want yourself AR barrels. This is the place where you can get new AR barrels. It's got rifle and pistol caliber length and rifle and pistol calibers available for your next AR build or rebarrel your current AR platform. That's hitmanindustries.net. California Republican Assembly, fighting a good fight behind enemy lines. Now you can take part in California's future today. If you want the best in tactical concealed holsters, get on over to Hog Holsters. That's HAWG holsters.com, holsters.com. Use the discount code The Rundown. It's all one word, no spaces, all caps. Get yourself a nice little discount. And if you want the best in field gear, tactical gear, outdoor gear, web gear, however you define it, you can get everything except the gun at uscombatgear.com.
That's right, folks. Please take a moment, visit our sponsors. All you got to do is follow the links in the description to this program. Go there, check them out, and spend some money with them. And, make sure you tell them that the guys over at The Rundown sent you. All right, the big talk, and everyone's still talking about the debate. I'll tell you, Mike, I'll tell you how I knew this was a historical changing event, right? Like, my daughter is a conservative. She's a hardcore conservative, but she's not, like, into politics. And I know that her friend who she was talking with today on FaceTime is not a really big, she's not, big into politics. She's also conservative. But they are talking about nothing but Joe Biden, the debate, and whether or not this corpse is going to run for president. And that's pretty much how the discussion kind of went. And rumors came out, and it started earlier today, and it was being reported by the New York Times that Joe Biden actually was consulting with some of his allies as to whether or not he was going to continue to run for president. Well, it didn't take long after those rumors came out for the White House to respond and let folks know what's really up. And they have made it clear. This is his statement to his staff. No one is pushing me out. I'm not leaving. Joe Biden vied to stay in the presidential race and continue his re-election bid, telling his staffers, no one is pushing me out, according to multiple reports. In a call on Wednesday, following his lackluster performance during last week's presidential debate amid growing panic, I love that word, panic, from Democratic donors and lawmakers, Biden said, let me say this as clearly as I possibly can. Better No, I'm sorry. As simply and straightforward as I can. International double to pressure. Oh, no, I'm sorry, not that one again. Okay. Oh, I'm running. Biden then went on to add, no one is not leaving. I'm in this race to the end, and we're going to win. Okay. How much of this, Mike, is just old man delusional ranting?
Yeah, right. That's what it sounds like. Then this also sounds like our beloved press secretary's statements as well, right? What she would say. White House denies that's not factual. Blah blah blah. She's making those lies. Craig, I think he's not pushing himself out, and nobody he knows is pushing him out, right? The big question is, what are the donors doing? All right, that's where the talking starts happening. If the donors say, "Hey Joe, we don't care what you do. However, our dollars are going elsewhere," you're not running. You're going to get replaced at the convention.
Well, though at this point, let's be honest, he's raised enough money where he could probably fund the rest of the campaign and have a decent campaign from this point going forward. But the problem is,
right? He could have a decent campaign, but if his campaign fundraising stops now, imagine what the right's going to do. And they might have 250 million on the Democrat side. By the time it gets to election time, Trump will have put up $1 billion of campaign donations, not of his own money, to destroy this guy.
Well, exactly, because if what's her face in New York gets her way, he won't have $1 billion to put up anymore. But that'll get corrected. Just I couldn't help that joke. I had to go there.
They're going to get. Listen, speaking of that case, how many items did they present in that case? And they said, no, we believe we have immunity. We're not to want to give this. And they said, you have to. Now they have. They have all the grounds they want to have that case completely dismissed now.
Oh yeah, look. The thing about this whole thing, and like I said, and I will keep going back to it. In fact, I'm working on a piece right now. It's basically talking about this whole campaign. Everything that they have accused Donald Trump of, Biden has done. And the Democrats going after political enemies, ignoring all the other branches of government and actually acting like a dictator. You name it. He's refusing to leave office because, quite frankly, and once again, I will continue to say this. If Joe Biden is not fit to run for president, he's not fit to be president. And I got to think that once again, these folks who are pushing for him to be removed from the ballot better also be among the folks who are calling for him to either resign from the presidency or for the 25th Amendment to be invoked.
Right, and we know. Listen, you and I talked about this, and I know I said it on here many times. Every other program I've been on predicted that he would not make it to the second term. All right, and that Harris would not become president. They will find a way, Craig, no matter how it happens, whether he just says, I'm not running for office, whether it's a mild medical condition and he's got to be on limited duty, he can only work from the White House, whatever it happens to be, they're going to find a way where he is not running for re-election and Harris is not the president. All right. They're going to bring in somebody from the outside to run as the presidential nominee. And it may not even be Harris on the same ticket, because if you bring in a new top dog, they may want their new number two dog,
Well, exactly. A great example of just how far the left has gone in terms of losing their minds. I wanted to play this video that you sent over to me. This is Stephen A. Smith. There's a lot of things that I disagree with Stephen A. Smith on politically here. He's probably middle of the road to left. But he and I disagree on a whole bunch of stuff. But anyway, I think he makes a very, very obvious point here. And this is a point that, quite frankly, many, many Democrats are seeing and believing. Check it out.
I thought he took it light on Biden. It was that damn bad. Now, if you're the Democratic Party, you're going to have some people out there saying it was just one night and it was just one debate. Now, what if Trump says, I don't need to debate again? And all we have to hold on to is what we witnessed last night. A brain fart within 3 minutes. Mumbling often enough where Donald Trump ended up saying, I don't understand what he said with that last sentence. I don't think he understands what he said.
With the COVID, with dealing with everything we have to do with, look, if we finally beat Medicare.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either.
Where the nation is looking at it, and you have pundits on both sides of the aisle looking sad and despondent. In Van Jones' case for CNN, he looked like he was about to cry. Other pundits were saying, where are the family members? How could you put your dad out there like that? How could you put your husband out there like that? If you're the Democratic Party, how could you put one of your colleagues and your contemporaries out there like that? What the hell is going on?
Democrats feel. They are like, well, with this. One is, that's how some of them feel, and for some of them, they're putting on an act because, I am in no way have the level of connection that some of these folks in the media and some of these folks in the Democratic Party who are outraged. But I watched the memes. I've watched the videos. I've seen it for the last 3 years upstairs and stuff like that. How did no one see this? How did all these people on the left who are so outraged, how did they not see this?
Well, the sheep, Craig, they never saw it because they were told it didn't exist. They were told it was fake, told it was all Photoshop. They were told it doesn't exist. Those in the they absolutely knew. Everybody in the White House knows. Everybody in Congress knows. They all know what's going on with this guy. They continue to prop him up as the puppet so they can get their way. Here's the problem, Craig. They want to keep this guy in office, right? Because they want to beat Trump, right? They want to beat Trump. So we'll take this so far that we get him to the end, and then we'll remove him and put somebody else in there. But they've made a crucial mistake. They've done so much against Trump now. I don't care if they go dig up John F. Kennedy Jr. or John F. Kennedy. If they bring back John F. Kennedy and he runs, he's not going to beat Trump. They've done so much to Trump right now. The rest of the nation is not going to forgive that. They're going to say, you've done so much to him. He's our next president.
Well, first of all, if Kennedy were running today, he'd probably be a Republican, but that's a whole different story if you look at his policies. But, no, you're 100% right. But what gets me is the other thing that they've done in some of this is they have so gaslit the American public in terms of talking about how strong and wise and Joe Biden is this and Joe Biden is that they have to either act surprised or they have to admit that they were in on the lie and they were lying to us. And the whole point behind this was they probably thought Joe Biden was good enough where all you had to do was give him a shot in the butt and, send him out there and he'd be okay this one last time. And it didn't work out. If there was one thing that they could probably say they were surprised about, it was that. Because there's no way you could tell me that anyone with half a brain who saw half of what you and I have seen and talked about and showed on this show, there's no way they could sit there and say that they believe this guy was fit.
Yeah, and now the rest of the public sees it. Although much of the rest of the public is still also saying it's still a trick. They made him look bad on purpose.
No,
Okay.
he did it all by himself. Anyway, moving right along.
Hey.
So there's an article over at the New Republic, which is kind of interesting because the new for someone who calls themselves the Republic, it's more like the Chinese Republic of China than it is, the sort of constitutional republic that we have. Anyway, all that having been said, they're talking about Thomas's dangerous definition of assault weapons. Let me pull the article up here real quick. And this is a commentary they have with this. Is Clarence Thomas pushes a dangerous definition of assault weapons. And I kind of wanted to address this a little bit. It says the Supreme Court declined Tuesday to take up a challenge to Illinois' ban on assault weapons, though not every justice on the High Court agreed to do so. In a separate opinion, Judge Thomas appeared keen to uproot future bans, urging the court to take up another such case on the basis that some semi-automatic guns, such as the AR-15, are among the most popular weapons in the nation, thereby claiming that more guidance is needed to delineate such weapons are, quote, dangerous and, quote, unusual. He further called the Seventh Circuit's decision to uphold the state ban, which stemmed from the landmark 2008 Supreme Court decision that ruled military-grade weapons such as the M16 rifles are not protected under the Second Amendment, as nonsensical. Quote, the Seventh Circuit's contrived non-militaristic limitations on the arms protected by the Second Amendment seems unmoored from both text and history, Thomas wrote. It is difficult to see how the Seventh Circuit could have concluded that the most widely owned semi-automatic rifles are not arms protected by the Second Amendment. And Mike, the thing that gets me about their thing here is literally he quotes the very decision that they say should make it okay for them to ban semi-automatic centerfire rifles. Anyway, it's just what gets me is I'm like, he quoted the decision and by the way, quoted Bruen in his dissent, and he's like, yeah, it is the most commonly owned firearm in the country. It's not unusually dangerous. How is it unusually dangerous? But once again, they completely ignore it. What it tells me is the folks who are writing this commentary or this article or whatever you want to call it know nothing about firearms, much as, quite frankly, the folks over there in Illinois know very little about firearms, or the folks who made this decision originally.
Yeah, well, the people that made the decision, right? Because what was it? Illinois was I want to say the number 3 state total firearms the first quarter this year. They have somewhere over 1 million firearms purchased in Illinois. So they love legal owned firearms in Illinois, just outside the city of Chicago. That's they go with another method inside the city there. The definition, Greg, it just makes this. Okay, here we go. Let's prove a point. It is a firearm in common use. Left, do you want to start using that also in your comments? Oh, you do? Okay, well, great. Thanks for that. We appreciate it. That's just going to, when this comes ripe again, when it comes from the right jurisdiction with the right plaintiff, that's going to make this so much easier to lift a nationwide ban.
I'm sincerely wondering why they decided not to take it up, but I think part of it is because there are other bans that are coming forward that I think they are going to hear. And I think what some of the pro-Second Amendment or the supporters of the Constitution who are on the Supreme Court are looking for is they want to make a decision on the right case, and maybe that just isn't the right case in their eyes. It may be that they just didn't want to take up a controversial case, having taken up so many controversial cases here this session. Anyway, it's going to be very, very interesting to they're going to have to eventually rule on this. I mean, I don't see how you get around to them not eventually having to rule on bans of certain firearms and magazines.
I think the Second Amendment Foundation, they just filed another complaint against the assault weapon ban in Maryland, I believe, right? Was it Maryland or DC? Maryland, I think it was. Because in this one, they used Justice Jackson's Ketanji, her statement. Remember, she stated in her dissenting opinion last week that these were weapons in common use. So they used her opinion as their reason for something.
That was actually Sotomayor.
Was it Sotomayor?
Yeah.
My apologies to Jackson. Okay.
Yeah, Miss Jackson's the one who can't define what a woman is.
That's right. Okay. So
one can't tell you what an assault weapon is. The other one can't tell you what a woman is. That's
right. And they a lot of similarities there too, actually. But that's right. We'll skip it. So I think that one is got huge legs, because now think about it. If you're Justice Thomas, you get to sit down and say, well, hold on now. I've got the complaint says that the people over there that say these are bad weapons also said they're in common use. Do we need to have any further debate? I think we're all in agreement here.
Right. How can it be unusual if the firearm is in common use?
Yeah. Yep.
And like I said, the worst part is like in that article, they compare it to the M16, and I'm like, if you know what an M16 is and you know what an AR-15 is, you know that they're two completely different weapons. Well, I won't say completely different, but they're different enough. They're different enough to where I can see where, while I disagree with civilians not being able to own an M16, I can see that if you're going to create a difference and create a line, why they feel like they can create a line between, for example, the fully automatic M16 and the semi-automatic AR-15.
It's like comparing a Ford Thunderbird with the Air Force's Thunderbird. Okay. All right. Look, this one does a little bit. It goes fast and it stays on the ground, and it weighs 5,000 pounds, and it can really hurt somebody. And this one is a weapon of mass destruction with bombs, missiles, and nuclear warheads on it. But they're both Thunderbirds. So,
But they're both Thunderbirds. So, and then there is the alcoholic beverage from the 1970s.
Oh, baby, yeah.
That's a weapon of mass destruction, let me tell you.
That's a mass liver destruction right there. Yeah.
That's good stuff. Good stuff. All right, this next story was interesting because I wanted to touch on it real quick. U.S. expels 100 Chinese illegals. So there was a flight for the first time in 5 years, right? The Department of Homeland Security decided that they were going to take Chinese immigrants. They say migrants. And 116 of them, they're going to fly them out of the country because they're not supposed to be here. They entered our country illegally. Once again, first flight in 5 years. Now, Mike, what gets me about this is a couple of things. They're bragging about this as if they had no ability to do it before, but now all of a sudden, Congress wouldn't let them do it, but now all of a sudden, somehow they found a way to do it. But here's the thing that gets me, Mike. 37,000 Chinese alone have come across the California border. But hey, we deported 116 of them, so woohoo! Let's hold a press conference.
Yeah, exactly. They're not stupid people. Oh look, we want America, California border, then we'll just get our old jobs back. That's really all there is to it. Do you think Congressman Swalwell's girlfriend was in this group of people?
No, I don't think they sent Feng Feng back.
Okay, all right.
By the way, it's the first flight in 5 years. Gee, I wonder who was president then.
Wait, let me think about it. Oh, I know.
Another Trump border policy reinstated.
There you go.
Yeah. How about this, Joe? And I'm glad you're flying some illegal immigrants out. How about you stop flying them in too? How about that?
Yeah. I heard that China refused to let them land. So The last thing that the Chinese guys heard was the people on the plane was, "Stand in the door." What?
Oh man, that would
Jump.
that would not be fun. That would not be fun. Anyway,
I'll jump.
but this also brings in mind, and I wanted to bring, as we get ready to wrap it up, I wanted to bring to mind one more story. Obviously, we've heard a lot about migrant crime or Biden migrant crime or violent Biden migrant crime. But there was another instance that was written up over there at Breitbart, and I wanted to bring it to everyone's attention because I want y'all to keep in mind, these are every single one of these things, every time we talk about one of these, this is on Joe Biden. If Joe Biden had not opened up the border, these things wouldn't happen. It says, gang of 4 Venezuelan migrants charged with choking, robbing a Chicago man on a train at knife point. It says here, the four accused were identified as, I'm not going to bother to go through their names, all Venezuelan nationals living in Chicago's shelter system. The 4 Venezuelans were arrested on February 17th, after a February 17th attack on 49-year-old man from suburban town of Cicero. Along with their court date, the Chicago Police Department released a video of the four for the first time in this case. It says here, you can view it on Twitter. According to prosecutors, Carlos Carreno, okay, I guess he has the same last name twice, for the motion for the victim to walk over to him and his 3 cohorts toward the back of the train car. When the victim did so, Wilker Gutierrez Sierra allegedly closed in behind the victim to prevent him from retreating. After the 4 threatened the man, Yanier Garcia reportedly jumped the victim and put him in a chokehold. When the others began to rifle through the victim's pockets, police said soon after the victim went unconscious. Once again, this would have never happened, Mike. This would have never happened if Joe Biden didn't open up the border. So we're talking, I'll continue to say it, rape, robbery, murder, all of it. All of these things are happening because of Joe Biden. And you can say, Jordan, as Joe Biden said in the debate, well, people right here in America are doing those things. Yeah, but not one of these people, had you not let them into the country, would be able to do it. So all of these migrant crimes, bruh, are on you.
I think what he said about this situation, Greg, was, well, with the COVID and Medicare finally.
Oh yeah, we finally beat Medicare.
Yeah,
That's exactly what he said. We finally beat Medicare. Fun stuff. All right, folks, that brings us now to our parting shots. Parting shots are brought to you by Hog Holsters. Just go to hogholster.com. Use the discount code The Rundown, all caps, no spaces, just like it is right there, and get your discount on us. All right, this first video I want to share with you is I enjoy it because it really kind of points out, it kind of points out how far we have fallen when it comes to people's, whether you want to call it respect or fear of the United States when it comes to foreign policy. Check it out.
We have lost 7 United States embassies under his presidency.
Yes.
What does that mean?
So we have embassies all over the world in
Yes.
every country. That is essentially sovereign American territory. Under his watch, we have had to evacuate 7 United States embassies.
I did not know
that.
that.
Has never happened in American history.
That's how weak
never.
we are. That's how weak we
That's
are
how
right
weak we are on the world stage.
What?
That's how bad it is.
Okay, help me. Why has that happened? Why are we evacuating? Because there's no protection, there's no fear.
I'm gonna say real quick, and I'm gonna give it to Wesley.
Yeah.
When you are weak and our adversaries know you're weak, they push you. It's no different than the bully in the schoolyard. If you're timid and the bully knows he can get away with it, what happens? He comes for your lunch money every single week.
Does.
Every single day.
Until you punch back.
Until you punch back. We have been weak under Joe Biden. And so our adversaries around the globe, big and small, know that they can push us. Go ahead, Wesley, you go. You can talk.
I'm gonna give you my favorite President Trump story. This is my #1 favorite of all time. when we were negotiating with the Taliban while President Trump was still the president, President Trump wanted to get out of Afghanistan, but he wanted a conditions-based withdrawal, meaning that you do what we tell you to do, and then we will start pulling troops back slowly as long as you abide by our rules. It's President Trump and Mike Pompeo, and they are talking to Taliban leadership in the room, and they had one translator in the room. President Trump looked at the Taliban leader and said this: I want to leave Afghanistan, but it's going to be a conditions-based withdrawal. And translator translated. And he said, if you harm a hair on a single American, I'm going to kill you. And the translator goes, and Trump goes, tell him.
Yes.
Tell him what I said.
Tell him what I said. Reached in his pocket, pulled out a satellite photo of the leader of the Taliban's home and handed it to him.
Shut up.
Got up and walked out the room.
Sure did.
Do you know for 18 months not a single American was killed in Afghanistan?
Sure did.
That's the definition of strength. That's what I'm talking about. And so you could imagine that kind of sentiment being around the world. If we have an embassy in another country, no one's going to touch it because they're going to be fearful that they're going to get a Moab on their head. That's how President Trump rolls. This is the opposite.
Okay, I've heard that story before. I don't remember where it or who originally shared that story, but the only thing is, man, I know Trump is prone to put dubs on it. He's prone to exaggerate. But I would love to know, did that really, I mean, I would love to know if that really happened.
Remember, the Democrats complained about it. That's how it came out. They said, he gave intelligence to the Taliban. He showed them that we knew where their house was. Yeah, no crap. Guess what? If he decides he wants to move, I'm pretty sure we're going to know where he lives. Okay, it's not that hard. Not that hard to figure out. So.
There you go. I hear you. Okay, well, let's move on to our next one. That's actually very, very good to hear. I love hearing that. Okay, next we've got a couple of things from the Babylon Bee. We all know right now that Joe Biden, after watching the debate performance, we know that not only should he not be running for president, but we know he's pretty much not running the country. And as evidence, we have here, it says Learn Activity Desk in the Oval Office. They installed a Learn Activity Desk in the Oval Office so Biden can feel like he's working while Jill is actually running the country.
Exactly. Now, Craig, I know we got a couple pictures I sent you because we're not sure about tomorrow's schedule, so we want to get these three in today.
I will work on trying to get them in.
There we go.
Oh, there we go. Let's correct this real quick. There we go. Now we got the whole thing. Bam. Okay.
Perfect.
White House installs. Okay. Then we've got this one. You may have heard my significant amount of time. Now he's like, him and Jill are both the top advisors to the president now, which is kind of interesting because here you have a quote, we can't let a convicted felon in the White House, Biden tells Hunter.
Yep. Kind of hard to believe, right? Look at the irony there.
Something's a little funky about that. That does not make a lot of sense. Anyway. Okay, where are we at here? Oh, then we've got here's another one. They did figure out a way in which they could get the president to actually drop out of the race, and it was actually kind of tricky because you know how he is with teleprompters. It says, checkmate, Dem leaders right, I hereby resign from the presidency, no takebacks on Biden's teleprompter.
He would say it, yeah. Yep.
He would say that. He would definitely say that. And then in honor of the 4th of July, liberals unsure which gender this pride flag represents.
Oh, okay. There we go.
There you go. Okay, now let's get to the photos that Mike sent over. We got this first one. England. We're going to need you to pay more in taxes on this tea. Colonists. We're going to need you to suck our
Star-Spangled Ding Dongs.
Star-Spangled Ding Dongs. Okie dokie. Let's see here.
Same one.
Next one. Oh, going the wrong way. Let's go the other way. There we go.
There we go.
In case you missed the debate.
There you go. It's the debate in one picture for you.
There you go. That's that would be for those of you who are just listening to the program. There was an elephant fornicating with a donkey.
Yep.
And we got one more here. It says, my husband Joe has integrity. He's strong. He's steady. He's a leader, and he's smart. He's energetic. This is what Joe Biden said on The View. I actually heard her say this, right?
Yep.
And then you got Cat Williams saying, you realize we could see him, right? That's, once again, I will continue to go back to it. That's what gets me about this whole thing with Joe Biden and the Democrats and them acting like we had no idea. I'm like, what man were you looking at? What man were you watching?
Yeah. You can hear Cat Williams saying it too. You realize we could see him, right?
Yeah, you can totally see him doing it. All right, look, hey, once again, we're up against it, so we got to get ready to run. But before we do, we got one last shout out to our sponsors.
Yeah, so visit our friends at Hitman Industries, California Republican Assembly, and USCombatGear.com.
Check them all out. Links are in the description of this program. We're going to be gone tomorrow because we're not doing a show on the 4th, but we will possibly be back on Friday. We'll let y'all know. If we're not here, then you'll know. There you go. If you don't know, then you won't know.
Yeah, remember, I was following Craig, so. Yeah.
Holler at y'all later. Y'all have fun. Have a good, happy 4th.